Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Geir Ivar, and I am pleased to welcome you to join me on Jan Baalsrud's escape routes. This summer and a little bit in the winter, I have been hiking, skiing, and filming from Rebbenesøya across Ringvassøya, a little bit in Lyngen, and up here to the Gentleman's Rock, and from Mandalen to Kilpisjärvi, and finally Sweden. If you've seen the movie The 12th Man, you are familiar with Jan Baalsrud and his escape from the German forces in the winter and spring of 1943. I have a small disclaimer. If anything I say are factually wrong, it's mostly because I don't work off a script. I try to read up ahead, but when I'm tired, winded, and just trying to remember everything, I tend to forget details. So bear with me and enjoy the scenery. That's why I do this hike. Good morning. I am in Toftefjorden, just about where MS Brattholm was when the German forces came up on Jan Baalsrud and his compatriots. I think the ship hid behind this rock do not be seen from the fjord's outlet. Behind me here, I have stranded on another rock. Just across here, there's a war memorial for the 11 died on this trip. MS Brattholm was a fishing vessel with 8 crew members, and they were carrying 4 soldiers who were going to sabotage the airport at Vargsundet, a lot further inland. They had thought about going ashore at Senja, an island a bit south, but there were unexpected guarding vessels, so they anchored up here. After dinner sometime, the 30th of March 1943, a German vessel of war sailed into this fjord. The crew at MS Brattholm evacuated the ship and lit a fuse and blew their own vessel up. So they tried to swim ashore somewhere here, and only one man escaped, Jan Baalsrud. According to David Howard, who wrote the book How We Die, or 9 Lives in Norwegian, Jan Baalsrud went to a blue-green house and up a canyon, 2 big rocks. Safely ashore, we can see a little canyon with a couple of big rocks. Maybe that's where he went. Like Baalsrud, I got an unexpected delay, also unexpected help from the locals. These guys in the red house. The man is, I think, the son of one of the girls who ended up rowing Baalsrud to Hersøya. And I was invited to coffee. We're not quite sure where Baalsrud ran himself. He might have gone up these hills somewhere, or where the path is today. If Baalsrud had turned around when he was fleeing, this might have been the view he saw. The terrain is rugged. Just above the little canyon, the terrain opens a little bit up. Just keep in mind, Mr. Baalsrud, he fled the 30th of March. At that time there is a lot of snow here, snow and ice. Around here, of course, you could have taken different paths. almost down to Vargsundet. I found an easier way to carry a boat over the marshes. Jan Baalsrud made the decision to swim because he figured the whole of this island would be searched. So he swam out to one of these rocks and hid, and then over to the Vargsundet over there. From Vargsundet he was rescued by a couple of girls who were out rowing. One of those girls was the father of the guy who invited me to coffee earlier. A really nice family. So I'm going to paddle over to these rocks and then over to Vargsundet and then to Hersøya. Baalsrud was swimming somewhere here. Remember, it was still winter. I'm paddling because it's still really cold in the water. I wouldn't want to swim this distance in summer, even if it's fairly shallow. It's cold. Jan Baalsrud swam this 30th of March. Crazy man. Jan Baalsrud got ashore somewhere around here, and that was the last part he swam himself. No girls are going to come in a rowboat to pick me up, so I'll have to do the paddling myself. The weather is turning much better. Really nice even. I'm going to paddle a little bit up here and go to shore and over to the farm. It's a nice paddle. I think the wind was in my back, but here we are at Haugland farm. So over here is where Jan Baalsrud was taken in the first night to warm himself, dry a bit up before he was rowed. And when he was rowed around here and past those buildings there and to Rebbenes around the corner. At Haugland Gård, Jan Baalsrud was fed. He got to dry his clothes. And so can you too. This house is now for rent. If you contact Karlsøy Jeger- og Fiskeforening, the Hunters and Fishermen Association of Karlsøy. And you can also probably rent a boat from them to get out here. There are no roads. I have to do my own paddling back again. Sometime after midnight, the 31st of March 1943, Jan Baalsrud was rowed from here to Rebbenes. Oh, I got the ride from Hallgeir, who was giving me coffee earlier. I chose to let go because my arms got tired. But I have the current with me, and now I'm aiming for my tent behind those white and red houses. I got off the ferry at Mariagård. Mariagård might be this red house here, or an old house who stood about here. We can also see some of the locals. From here at Mariagård, we're going to cross the isthmus over to Dyrsfjorden, and then all the way out Dyrsfjorden around the point and into Fagerfjord. When I'm up at the isthmus, I can see back towards Rebbenes Island in the background. Jan Baalsrud had the option of staying at Mariagård for a bit, masquerading as a patient, but he didn't want to endanger any more people than necessary, so he moved on. There weren't any marshes open because he trudged in snow, which is worse. Give up. As I'm spotting Toftefjorden behind me here, I must remember to tell you, there is a much easier route from Mariagård to closer to the mainland at Ringvassøya. He could have gone through Toftefjorden, the short route. Much easier valley, easier terrain. But Baalsrud was informed that there was a Nazi sympathizer living in Toftefjorden, or the area, along that route anyway. So he had to go around. And I have to do so too. Here I am at Toftefjorden. This looks doable, doesn't it? In the summer. I found a little used path. It is on the map, but it's really old, so I can follow it to go a little bit easier. We're still working our way out through the Toftefjorden, but we're getting somewhere. I found a real nice little bay. No time for stopping. One who wasn't as fortunate as me or Baalsrud, but ahead of us, I think, is more or less the end of Toftefjorden. And now we have rounded the corner from Toftefjorden, and I'm walking on the outside of the peninsula. We have to get past this point over here as well, before we're entering the Fagerfjord. From the point back here, the terrain got significantly easier, and it looks to continue at least over there. I'm really looking forward to see Fagerfjord and make camp for the night. I'm getting tired. Almost there. The cape furthest behind me here on this island is the northernmost point of Ringvassøya, I think. I'm not going there, so at least I can see some piece of land I'm not going to walk on today, or tomorrow even. We're seeing into Fagerfjord, just barely. We can see houses, and that's a good sign, even though the terrain just starting on this fjord looks a bit sketchy. There is a tiny little path through the rocks and continues here. It's doable, not too hard. And here is Fagerfjord. The white house besides me is the first house in the fjord, and that's where Jan Baalsrud was advised someone trustworthy lived. So he got to sleep in the barn, which since has fallen down, and then he climbed up the mountain from the river you can see in the middle there. And here we are at the bottom of Fagerfjord. There's the house with the old barn. Jan Baalsrud got to spend his first whole day in of rest. The day after, we continued up here to the mountain and through to Fagerfjord. I'm going up there tomorrow. I'll be camping here tonight, right next to the river in the bottom of the fjord. Good evening. I'll do a little recap of today's efforts while we're glancing at the maps. We started at Toftefjord, where MS Brattholm was sunk. Jan Baalsrud escaped. Somewhere up here, I followed the path for a bit Then I turned around here. From here, Jan Baalsrud swam to a little rock, then to Vargsundet, was picked up by a boat and went to Haugland farm. I paddled this bit and met some interesting people along the way. Here I met Hallgeir, whose mother was one of the girls who picked Jan Baalsrud up here. After that, Jan Baalsrud was rowed from Haugland past Rebbenes and to Mariagård by Mikkelvik. Then I walked from Mariagård out all the way this fjord here and into Fagerfjord, where I'm sitting right now. Tomorrow my plan is to go up Norddalen here, where Jan Baalsrud went, and down to Veggefjord. I'll make my way out here and across somewhere here to Karanes.